Welcome back to Live Life Legendary. This is the second video in How to Change Your Beliefs mini course. My name is Prince and I will talk about the three main types of beliefs today. There are many ways to classify beliefs. For example, we have cultural beliefs, beliefs that represent our mindset, unconscious beliefs, beliefs that boost our willpower, etc. They are all interesting areas to look at, but for the sake of this video, we want to examine the most fundamental beliefs at the core of our belief systems. These beliefs are important because they create and support all other beliefs we possess. The three main types of beliefs are psychological rules, global beliefs, and convictions. Let's look at each one of them. The first one on our list is psychological rules. We all have a book of rules we use to decide how to think, feel, and behave. And that's what psychological rules do for us. We believe something because we already have psychological rules which tell us that this something makes sense and is true. We think if the rules make sense, then it's only logical to assume that what the rules support should also make sense. In this way, we only accept ideas that are in alignment to what we already believe in. Maybe we shouldn't categorize them as beliefs, but rather as laws that protect our beliefs. We must address them here because they tell us what core beliefs are actually driving our decisions and actions. Psychological rules are mostly created from our reactions to various situations, and they are based on pain and pleasure principle. For example, you came across a particular problem as a child, and you decide to take a specific action in that situation. If the result of that action was painful, you would believe that this action is wrong. And if the result was pleasurable, then you would believe the action was right. If similar experiences happen repeatedly, then you will create a psychological rule for it. Now let's assume, for example, you came across a similar situation years later. Your brain will use this psychological rule to predict if a particular decision or action will lead to pain or pleasure. You will make a decision that will either avoid you pain or give you pleasure. Whatever you decide to do will provide you with an insight into your hidden beliefs at the core of this psychological rule. Say for example, you have to submit a research paper to your psychology professor. You have 2 days to do it. It seems like an overwhelming task, but it's possible to do it in 2 days. Besides, your professor may give you a recommendation if the paper is good. You have two options now. You can either start working on the project right away, or you can procrastinate and put it off until tomorrow. The first option causes you pain and anxiety, while the second option gives you some pleasure and immediate relaxation. You think to yourself, if I do this now, I will be able to finish the project in time and gain my recommendation letter. And if I do it tomorrow, I won't be able to write a good quality paper in just 1 day. Let's assume that you decide to write your research paper today. Suddenly, you remember that you have to do your laundry. So you do that. Then you think to yourself, while I'm at it, I should also clean the house, and you go on a cleaning spree. Your mind keeps wandering about till you waste your entire day. The next day, you haphazardly write a mediocre paper and submit it to your professor. And of course, you don't get the recommendation. Does it sound familiar? All of this is really important because you consciously decided to take action, still your psychological rules made you procrastinate in this case. And what is much more important is that there are limiting and possibly contradicting beliefs behind this rule. You may believe that I'm not smart enough to write an excellent paper. At the same time, you also believe that I know I'm smarter than most people. In such a case of conflicting beliefs, your mind may develop a psychological rule that I should not do anything that will tell myself and others whether I'm capable enough or not. Because you don't really want to know the answer. This will protect both the beliefs. And so, you decided to subconsciously procrastinate. Just notice how this psychological rule has affected the decision you ended up making. You procrastinated because then you would have lack of time as an excuse to write a bad paper. That way, you wouldn't have to face the possibility that you might not be good enough. It's a way to protect your ego from getting hurt. In other words, what affected your action was your assumption of what could cause you pain or pleasure. Your psychological rules prioritized short-term pleasure over long-term pleasure, which led you to minimize short-term pain, even if this short-term pain could theoretically give you long-lasting pleasure. We can keep talking about psychological rules all day, but ideally this should give us enough sense of how they fit into our belief systems. The second most important type of beliefs is global beliefs. Global beliefs are generalizations that we made about things, individuals, and life. They form our spiritual mosaic or psychological reality. You may believe in A, for instance, but deny B completely. You do this because you have made some specific assumptions about A and B. We may never know the truth about everything, and that scares us. So we continuously make assumptions to fill our spiritual mosaic and treat them as facts to gain some sense of security in life. We all have used sentences beginning with I am, life is, the people are. Most people don't spend much time thinking about this stuff unless they are philosophers or scientists with no social lives. We just take these assumptions for granted and don't even realize that the reality may not be the way we think it is. For example, some people may believe that if a pair of eyes looks blue, so it must be blue. They may believe that everything that looks blue is in fact blue all the time, every time. But we know that's not true, of course. Some eyes look blue because of the same reason why the sky looks blue. It's really scattering. Another assumption we may make is that all people are liars and can't be trusted. This may be true in some circumstances, but it's not true everywhere. The generalization that people can't be trusted could have been rooted in our minds as children. However, as adults, we still continue to think that way. This belief may have served us when we were kids. Not trusting people, not talking to strangers kept us out of danger. But will this global belief help us today? You can imagine all the things that can go wrong if we keep on following this belief. Often, we are not even conscious of the assumptions we have about our reality. But is it useful to assume things and hold on to such beliefs? If they don't benefit us anymore, they might potentially limit us in the present moment. Nevertheless, we all have global beliefs that trap us in our psychological realities. We have to accept this fact if we ever want to be really free. The third type of belief that I want to discuss here is convictions. Convictions are our strongest beliefs that are mostly resistant to logic. They are beliefs that give us unshakable certainty, dedication, and commitment. Convictions are developed over a lifetime, and they have a wide range of supporting references. All these references reinforce these beliefs and lays the foundation for convictions. The amount of emotion, time, resources, and thinking we have spent in these beliefs over a lifetime makes them nearly indestructible. This may be good news or bad news based on the kind of conviction we hold. For example, if we have a collection of solid convictions that supports our ambitions and helps us succeed, then that's invaluable. That's how high achievers get the strength to continue pushing when they are facing difficulties. On the other hand, if we have a series of convictions that are at odds with our goals, we are likely to sabotage ourselves and barely get anywhere. The biggest problem with conviction is, however, that we probably don't even know that we have them. We are so trapped in our own thinking patterns that it's too difficult to consider other possibilities. However, this is a challenge that we have to tackle if we want to unleash our true potential. That's all for this video. In the next video, we will learn how to identify limiting beliefs and analyze them. Until then, live life legendary.